Savannah Bond stood in her cozy kitchen, the warm scent of vanilla and cinnamon filling the air. It was a rainy afternoon, the kind that made her want to curl up with a cup of tea and a good book. But today, she had a mission. Cookies. Not just any cookies, but the softest, chewiest, most chocolate-packed cookies she had ever made. The kind that melted in your mouth, with just the right balance of sweetness and warmth. It was a tradition she had kept alive since childhood, ever since her grandmother had taught her the secret to the perfect batch. She tied her apron around her waist, pushing a stray lock of golden hair behind her ear, and set to work. The kitchen counter was already lined with the ingredients: flour, sugar, butter, eggs, chocolate chips, lots of them. Savannah loved how baking was both an art and a science. A slight change in temperature, a little too much or too little of one ingredient, and the entire batch could turn out differently. As she measured out the flour, she thought about the first time she had ever baked alone. She had been 10 years old, determined to surprise her mother with a plate of homemade cookies. Instead, she had forgotten to add baking soda, and the cookies had come out flat and hard as rocks. Her mother had still eaten one, smiling through the crunch, and told her they were delicious. That had been the moment Savannah fell in love with baking, not just because of the food, but because of how it brought people together. She cracked the eggs into the mixing bowl, watching as the yolks blended into the sugar and butter. The rhythmic sound of the wooden spoon against the bowl was soothing. When she finally added the chocolate chips, she couldn't resist sneaking a few into her mouth. That was the best part, after all. The oven beeped, signaling it was preheated, and Savannah carefully placed the tray inside. As the cookies baked, the rich, buttery aroma filled the entire house. She leaned against the counter, enjoying the warmth that radiated from the oven. Minutes later, she pulled out the golden brown cookies, their edges crisp but their centers still soft. She let them cool just enough before picking one up and taking a bite. It was perfect,